All right, hey everybody, we are rolling, and this is a very special night. So, hey, you three members, and welcome back. But actually, I think the team told me this is also going on YouTube. So this one, because it's such a special guest, of course, we have Rob Holland with us. We are going to put this out on YouTube, and we are here in South Florida, beautiful Florida tonight, bugs and all. But Rob's stopping here. We're doing some filming the next couple of days. There's some really cool stuff coming out for E3 members. Make sure you guys go check it out. We got a couple days of filming and stuff here, and Rob's on his way to Key West for the Key West Air Show, right? You're heading there Thursday.
That's right.
So it should be a good day. But we have a lot of cool stuff to go over with you. I'm excited for this. I know our members have been asking for a long time. They knew you were coming. They actually sent us some questions and stuff, so I'm looking forward to going over a bunch of that stuff with you. And all right, we're going to dive in because I got some really fun questions. We've had some good conversation. And so one of the first ones that's come in from members is what inspired you to become an aerobatic pilot, and how did your early experiences shape your career path?
I mean, I've always been fascinated with airplanes since as far back as I can remember. I blame it on Star Wars. I'm old enough that I went to the first Star Wars when it came out, and I thought the Millennium Falcon was the coolest thing ever. So I've always liked things that could fly. But
except you're flying like a TIE fighter here. This thing's crazy.
Yeah. And when I was young, my dad brought me to an air show, and I saw people flying upside down, and that's really what sparked the aerobatic quest for me. From that point, all my models were hanging upside down from the ceiling, and I was just on a mission in life to be an air show performer someday. So I went to Daniel Webster College in New Hampshire when it still existed. It's not there anymore. Got all my ratings there. Anything I could get my hands on legally to go upside down, I was trying to build experience. And it took a while to figure out how to get into air shows. It was like a 10-year quest, and during that time I flew commuters, I flew corporate, I towed banners, I flight instructed, I taught aerobatics. And teaching aerobatics is actually kind of what finally eventually got me into doing air shows. So it was a long road, a lot of experience along the way, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah. You know, I have, a lot of our members, like they see us flying like our extras and the game birds and stuff, and they kind of ask us, like, they think automatically that you have to be wanting to do what you do to get into aerobatics. I mean, it's just not true. I mean,
no, there's so many different levels to it. First off, I mean, if you're at all interested in aerobatics, join IAC, IAC.org. A lot of good information about flight schools and aerobatic schools and aerobatic contests and whatnot. But there's so many different aspects to aerobatics. I mean, there's what I do at air shows. There's competition, both lower levels and upper levels. There's people who just like to go up every now and then and do a loop and a roll in their airplane on their way to get the $100 hamburger. So there's a ton of stuff you can do, and there's upset training. And the nice thing about learning aerobatics at whatever level you want to learn it is there's no such thing as unusual attitude anymore, because you've seen it, you've experienced it, you know how to deal with it. So you're a lot less likely to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. And you said a couple important things there. One, I got into aerobatics because I went and did some upset recovery training. Because, and by the way, I highly, out of all the things you could do as a pilot, I think that's probably one of the most important up there, is probably one of the best things you could do. Absolutely changed how I, tail wheel, but upset recovery, that just really, changed my mindset and my attitude about flying and stuff as a pilot. But you just said it, it's like, we have the game bird and stuff, and that's like a Ferrari of aerobatics, but hey, it's great to just jump in with my wife and we go have lunch or something, or even like a buddy, go do a couple barrel rolls or something. We don't have to go crazy. We have a really good time. We go get some lunch and stuff. So, you don't have to be doing what Rob does to get into aerobatics and have a blast, and it makes you a better pilot.
Yeah, I mean, flying is a 3D thing, but aerobatics truly brings in that third dimension.
Upset recovery training, I mean, we don't always do the stuff we do in aerobatics, right? What are some of the things we do in like spin recovery, things like that? And
yeah, upset training is one. You should do some aerobatics just to get comfortable with the feeling, what the world looks like in different attitudes. But upset training is basically if you find yourself in a bad situation, you're upside down or you're up in a spin, how do you safely recover from it and get back to normal flying? So something every pilot should definitely know.
Yeah, it heightens your senses and stuff too. I remember going through the training and then flying the Bonanza and got into a couple, not maneuvers, but a couple turns and stuff where I was now all of a sudden a better pilot because I could feel some things that were going on that I felt because I went through that upset recovery. So I don't want to talk too long on this, but it's highly recommended out there. But another question that came in was, can you describe one of the unique maneuvers you've developed and the thought process behind it?
Oh man. So I think I just approach aerobatics differently. Like I'm a fan of aerobatics. I love watching other performers and other people do aerobatics, but a lot of it is to know what not to do. Not in a bad way, because they're doing amazing things, but I don't want to do what everybody else does. I want to be unique and different and try to show people something that's different and come up with new stuff. So it's just a disease. I'm always thinking about it. I'm always coming up with ideas. And truth be told, if you come up with 100 different ideas, only 2 of them will actually work in an airplane. You know, a lot of them don't. But when you do find that one thing that kind of works, it's a lot of just thinking about it for a long time. What are the inputs going to be? What could possibly go wrong? How do you correct those things? What are the gyroscopics of the prop going to do? What's the torque of the engine going to do? What are the aerodynamic? All of it. And then eventually you go up and you actually try it. You go really high because you want some safety margin.
When you say really high, were you like 5,000 or 6,000?
Yeah, somewhere up there. And you try it. And usually you can tell right away, okay, this has potential, it could work, or no, there's no way this is going to work. And you just develop it from there.
So do you visualize the maneuver from outside the aircraft in your head, like picture like what you want to see it do?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, a lot of it comes up from just an idea pops in your head. Can an airplane do whatever it is? And sometimes you're up flying and you're doing something and you're like, oh, that was kind of neat. I wonder if I could develop that into something else. So the inspiration comes from all sorts of different places. And it's just a matter of having the discipline to like work with it, take your time with it, not be in a rush. It's one thing to figure out how to do it. It's another thing to figure out how to do it safely and then lower it towards the ground for an air show and understanding all the things that could possibly go wrong and practicing the things that go wrong. What do you need to recover? That's how you build in your margins and safety and what altitude you're actually going to do it at.
Okay.
So there's a lot that goes into it.
Right, because like the double hammerhead, that hasn't been around too long, right? How long?
Oh,
has
it's
that
been around quite a while. Yeah.
So did a lot of people do it? No.
I believe it was Henry Haig came up with that in late 70s or early 80s or something like that. Sean Tucker did. There's a lot of people who did the double hammerhead. Yeah.
So which one have you developed? Is there anyone that you've kind of?
So I don't want to say anything I've done like I'm the first person to do it because I can't. I mean, maybe there's somebody else who's done it, but unique that I've never seen anybody else do, and I kind of figure out on my own, like an inside tumble, a frisbee with a plane flying level flight actually yaws 360 degrees and keeps going, both upright and inverted. So yeah, there's a few things that I've worked on.
You just make it look cool.
Yeah, well, it's fun.
All right, so let's talk about that frisbee. Yeah. What are the inputs that you do?
Well, I knew you were going to ask me.
Come on, I got to test you.
I can tell you inputs, what I can't describe to you is feel, and it's really a feel thing. You know, so there's gyroscopics going. There's a lot of stuff going on with the airplane, and like when to actually do the inputs and how much and how aggressive and how fast and how smooth. That just comes with doing a bunch of them and experience and the feel of what's going on. And I don't know how to describe that.
Okay.
But it does have a lot to do with the gyroscopics of the prop.
You just said something a few minutes ago about just going up and trying it and testing it. I know that like sometimes when I fly people and I say, why don't you try this? They're kind of freaked out about like all of a sudden the plane's going to get in an unusual altitude or something. But I think the point is I try to tell people without really putting stresses on the plane, they're going to break it. Look, as long as you can recover, it's okay to go try those things, and you just need to make sure you can recover the aircraft. Is that okay thinking, or is...
To a point, yes. I think the way I describe flying is there's 3 envelopes. Okay, there's the envelope of the airplane, which you never exceed because then you're going to break the airplane. There's your comfort level envelope, and there's your ability envelope, right? And every time I fly personally, what I try to tell other people to do is always fly slightly outside of your comfort, but within your abilities. Right, and your comfort should be lower than your abilities. If it's the other way around, there's other issues. And what that does, if you're flying in between them, you're constantly pushing out your abilities. You're growing, you're learning more, you're experiencing more. If you're always flying within your comfort level, you're never going to progress.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to push the boundaries, but fly within your abilities.
Okay. Now you just said something about, you know, the limitations of the aircraft and stuff. Man, you are flying a mean machine. That MXS, I mean, we went through all the specs and stuff today, but what are some of the key things about the MXS that makes it so special?
It's just an amazing machine. I mean, there's a lot of really good aerobatic airplanes out there. You're kind of comparing like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, right? They're all very high performance machines, but it lends itself to my style of flying. It's incredibly nimble. It's not very stable, which is great for aerobatics. It carries a lot of energy. It's light. It's all carbon fiber, so it's incredibly strong. It's got a big engine on it. It's got an amazing propeller. It's all the elements of what I personally want in an aerobatic airplane to be creative and do the things that my imagination comes up with.
And you got plus or minus 16
Yeah,
G's on that, right?
it's very strong. So I mean, even if I'm putting 12 G's on the airplane, I have that margin there for safety.
Yeah.
So I'm working myself physically hard, but I'm not working the aircraft that
Yeah.
hard.
And I think you said something that's important, and people should know that, like your mission. That's what's needed for your mission.
Yes,
and I know people
exactly.
ask me a lot about our brand new game bird, the GB1 here, and my mission obviously isn't to do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's highly capable aerobatics, but my mission is more like we talked about. I want to go grab my wife, go have lunch somewhere, breakfast, do some cool stuff, fly fast, and 1,200 nautical. So your missions they're all different for sure. Okay, so another one came in for, I know social media's gotten really a lot of attention. It's really grown a lot. So how has your online presence helped you connect with fans and promote aerobatics?
I mean, there's good and bads with it, right? But I mean, the goods, it allows you to take what we do and introduce it to a lot of people that might not ever get to see it or experience it. So it introduces a lot more people to aviation, to aerobatics, to air shows. Hopefully attracts them to some air shows, and hopefully inspires some people to get involved in aviation too, become pilots or whatever their involvement wants to be. So I think it's good. I think it's a way to get out in front of a lot more people.
Yeah, and it's also a lot of noise out there, so it's it's important for people try to find the right content and vet it.
Absolutely.
Find reputable sources. Yeah. How did growing up in New England, because you grew up in New Hampshire, like you said, how did growing up in New England influence your passion for aviation?
I actually grew up in Massachusetts, and then I went to New Hampshire for college and just never left. So I've been in New Hampshire since. I moved there when I was 18. I mean, I think it was an advantage learning how to fly up there, just because you literally, we have 4 seasons. So you fly in great weather, you fly in not so great weather, you fly in cold weather, you fly in snowy weather. So I think it built a lot of good real world experience for my flying.
Yeah.
How that affected aerobatics, good or bad, I don't know, but generally flying and just me as a pilot and aviator, I think it was very helpful.
For me, it's been a definite appreciation for icing.
Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah.
A lot of approaches to minimums that we've had to do. No choice in New England. It could be foggy for
we
days.
got some busy and some crazy airspace up there too. So dealing with like the New York area, the Boston area. Yep.
So I guess no matter where you are, you got down here at Florida, you get appreciation for thunderstorms, and we don't have them as bad up north that we have down here, and then down here it's it can be some crazy. We're inside an airspace, inside an airspace, inside an airspace here. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Executive. It can get crazy like LAX and stuff too. So they all have their advantages and stuff too. So if you could fly any aircraft from history, what would it be and why?
Man, that's a tough one. Because I don't think I can narrow it down to just one. There's so many cool airplanes that have been out there. With the Hughes H1 Racer, and what a beautiful looking airplane that was. I'd love to fly a Stagger Wing sometime. I think that's another stunning looking airplane. Some of the warbirds like Corsairs or Bearcats or Tiger Cats. I don't know. I couldn't nail it down to just one. There's so many different airplanes, so many different opportunities. There's a lot of cool stuff out there.
How about even just modern aircraft? Like, if there's another plane you could just get tomorrow, I mean, what would one be?
Man, I don't know. I mean, if you could just throw me the keys to anything and magically I knew how to fly it, F-22, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're going to let me borrow that, but that'd be pretty fun.
How about civilian aircraft?
I'm just a fan of aviation, right? Like, I fly aerobatics, but I like flying in Cubs. I like doing cross-country stuff. I flew a TBM 900 once. I thought that was really cool for what it was. I used to fly a Pilatus PC-12.
Yep.
So if the wheels come off the ground, it's cool, and I'm interested in it. So there's too many to pick from.
Do you think, I mean, you're obviously at the pinnacle of flying. What else could you do? I mean, what's the next level from what you do?
Oh, all sorts of stuff. I mean, I fly in a small niche of what aviation is as a whole, right? And I absolutely love it. But I love flying on floats. I love float plane flying.
There you go.
So much
we should
fun.
go tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I couldn't fly aerobatics, I would try to get a job flying on floats. My first flying job was teaching in J3 Cubs. It's still probably one of my favorite airplanes, just flying around at 65 miles an hour with the door open and bare bones basic airplane. I mean, how much fun is that? Yeah. So there's so many different, and that's the beauty of aviation. There's so many different aspects of it that you can get involved with, right? It's not, I mean, I love flying upside down. I love the airplane I fly, but there's way more to it than just that.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking even bush flying, and
Yep.
like we have our FX3 that's like this is the X Cub, which everybody knows. Then we have the FX3 with 35s. You know, that's some adrenaline rush there. Landing
Yeah.
on beaches down in the
Yep.
Keys and stuff, or up in the mountains on sides of mountains and stuff. That's pretty cool. And then we go to the extreme side, and the planes like you're flying. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's a lot of great stuff out there.
Absolutely.
So another question, and I know that we got some questions that are still coming in from members, so we'll grab one. Actually, let me grab one now that's come in. Oh, okay, so this is cool. So what is your favorite air show to fly in, and why?
I get asked that so many times. I feel like I keep giving you non-answers, but there's different shows for different reasons. Like the Chicago Air Show is an amazing show because there's so many people there. It's right on the lakefront. There's a little show in Geneseo, New York. It's a warbird show. It's on a grass strip. It's like going back in time. I did a show once in the British Virgin Islands. I mean, enough said there, right? So it's hard to nail down just one because they all have their charm. They're all different. Some are big, some are small, some more intimate, some are in cool locations, some have other cool airplanes at them. So there's a lot of shows throughout the year that I look forward to.
Was there any one that you can kind of just remember that like was just a memorable one that you just will never forget?
The first time I got to fly out the Blue Angels was in Kingsville, Texas. We did a photo shoot. First time flying with an F-18 in my wing. That's pretty memorable.
Now I got to say something about that because,
Yeah.
on our board of directors is a Blue Angel,
Yep.
Tyler Fee Davies. And he had told me that the Blue Angels don't let anybody do that. You're one of the only guys ever that were allowed to fly on the wings of a Blue Angel.
There's a couple, but I mean they're obviously pretty selective. It's you still got to trust the people you're flying with, and you have to have confidence in them, and you have to know that they have the skill to do what you're going to do, and also the professionalism and the judgment to do it, because you don't want someone doing something that wasn't briefed and scare everybody or have an accident or whatnot. As they should be, they're very selective of who they'll do that with, but it's always a privilege and an honor when you get to do it.
Yeah. So we'll roll some of the video in of that because I know that there's some stuff all over social media. Can you kind of just walk us through a little bit of, your first day of briefing? Like, what's a briefing like for you guys when you get to the air show?
So the first briefing is usually the Friday before the show. Friday is our rehearsal day, but we treat it just like an air show day. So
So first of all, they hand you a little schedule. It's about this size, right?
we usually get the schedule about halfway through the briefing.
Okay.
But yeah, you show up. The air boss who's in charge of the show, he gives the brief. You sit there. If you have any questions, you ask, and you're learning about like the box and the show lines, what the weather is that day, the regulations for that show, the standard waiver, if like what regulations have been waived for it. It's just everything you need to know to have a safe show. And then you have your own little briefs. Like some shows I go up and I circle the skydivers down. After the briefing, I'll meet up with them and brief what we're actually going to do. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So
it's coming up with a thorough plan for the show so that you can have
So
a
that
safe
the
show.
boss kind of walk through, okay, Mikey G, you're going to be here at this, and then so-and-so's coming this, or is there any of that
Yeah,
kind of
like
walkthrough?
well, eventually you go through the schedule.
Okay.
Right, because so I'm a ground start. Like my show starts from takeoff, so I can literally start right after the act before me ends. Someone like Mike Goulian, he's an air start. So if he was to take off and climb up to altitude and then dive in, that takes up a bunch of time. So he'll take off before the act ahead of him. So all that stuff is kind of figured out.
So
The
it's
schedule, like
coordinated.
who's going to do what, when,
Yeah.
where. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. What's the most memorable or funny moment from your career that you want to share with everybody?
No, I mean I've been doing air shows for 23 years now, and every year there's just more and more memorable experiences. I mean, I feel very fortunate, very privileged, and it's been an incredible journey so far. But a lot of it just comes down to the people. The air show industry has become a big family. Some of my best friends are air show people or aviation people. So that's probably where the most memories are. It's just the people you meet, the people you get to know, their families, their backgrounds. I mean, there's some really amazing and fascinating people that are in this industry.
Yeah.
And probably one of the greatest things is the fact that some of my heroes are now like on speed dial on my phone. People I grew up admiring and respecting. You get to know them in the air show industry, and now they're friends. They're still my heroes, but they're friends also.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty special part of the industry.
So community. Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. Can you kind of talk to everybody a little bit about, I mean, because there's a lot of people that do fly aerobatics. They want to get more serious. What does it entail to be in a show? I mean, you know, we've got your card, your ace card, you've got your levels. You know, what does it take? What's the progression? How do you walk through if you wanted to get to the point where maybe even a local air show, you want to be able to go fly for, you know, high school students at an air show or something? Like, what does it take to do that?
I mean, you have to put in the hours, right? Just
Yeah.
like anything in aviation, you have to have the experience. I recommend everyone, especially if they're doing aerobatic flying like we're doing, not necessarily warbirds, but they should do some competition and get good at it, just to get the skills and the discipline, the ability to be critiqued and actually accept critique. And then you
Now,
have
do
to,
they have to have their ace card to go do that competition?
no, not competition, you don't need it. And it's
Okay.
actually called a SAC card. So
Okay.
an ACE is an aerobatic competency evaluator, the person who evaluates the person getting a
Okay.
card. And a SAC card stands for Statement of Aerobatic Competency.
Okay, great. That's
So
what
it's
I
a
wanted to
SAC card that you need to have. So when it is time, you do have the experience. You have to get together with an ACE, and they have to mentor you a little bit. Then they have to recommend you, almost like a CFI signing somebody off. And then you go to another ACE, and they actually do an evaluation on you. You know, there's the oral part, there's the flying part. There's certain criteria you have to meet. And your first waiver, if you pass, is at 800 feet. So it's the lowest you can go.
So then that would be your show, that would be your first show you go, or your first competition you go fly, you'd be at 800.
Not competition, this is air shows.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'd be at 800 feet. Only in a waivered aerobatic block. You can't just like fly out over the marsh and go down to 800 feet. You still have to
Now,
obey
just
the
so
rules.
everybody knows, if you don't have that or you're in that, you're 1,500 feet or above, and then there's other regulations. But I just want to make sure people are clear. So you're 15
so-
above, then you can get down there 8.
So even me, like if I go out and just practice, I have a surface level waiver. I have to be above 1,500 feet. If I'm at an air show where the airspace is waivered in the special provisions, then I can go down to the surface.
Okay, and your
So you-
surface.
Yeah.
So 800.
800, and then you have to perform in so many shows at so many different locations. I forget the exact number. And then you can get it reevaluated down to 500 feet. Same process down to 250. Same process down to surface, but the surface you have to be recommended by another race again, kind of like a CFI
Okay.
signing you off.
Now, you also have to stay proficient, right? Because then you might bounce back up.
You have to maintain, you have to be reevaluated every single year to keep your card. If it lapses, there's a grace period where you can get reevaluated to maintain the same level. If you fall outside of that, then you bump up a level. And then if you go so long, it goes up another level.
Okay.
And eventually you start all over.
So
Yeah.
people
But,
should go.
but just because you said it, in competition, you don't need a SAC card, and you can fly because the airspace is waived. It's not an air show; it's completely different, and you can fly to the level of whatever category you're flying. So, like in the sportsman category and primary, the bottom categories, the lowest you can go is 1,500 feet. Intermediate, you can go to 1,200 feet. Advanced, you can go to 800 feet. Unlimited, which is the highest category, you can go down to 328 feet.
And how do you know you're in which category you're in?
You start off with the lower category and you progress through the ranks till you get to the upper categories.
Okay.
Yeah.
But people, if they want to know more about this, they really should go join IAC.
They should definitely join IAC. Yeah, there's a wealth of information there.
Now, this question came up. It said, basically, it says, how do you manage fear or anxiety before performing a high-risk maneuvers, and has your approach changed over time? You know, this question might be maybe not for you as much as just somebody that's going to go fly like this.
It's actually a great question. So me personally, like, if I had fear and anxiety, I wouldn't do this. You know, I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I love and respect the discipline of doing this and trying to make it perfect, and I have a healthy respect for, you know, what could go wrong. But it's my job to mitigate that as much as possible. So in my airshow sequels, there are no high-risk maneuvers because I've practiced so much. It's like walking. There's no maneuver that I do where I go, I hope this is going to work. Right? I know it's going to work because I've done it so many times. And on top of that, I practice it to failure. Like, what can go wrong? What could it develop into? What would happen if I'm at this altitude, at 0 airspeed, and the engine quit? How much altitude do I need to recover to a flared attitude to land? All those numbers are worked out. We call them gates. And if I don't meet the gate in that figure, like it's a high density altitude, I don't have the energy, then you don't do it. You do something else or you start over. So it's having that discipline. I might practice a figure for 2 years before I actually put it in an air show because I don't want to be thinking about it. I want my attention to be, where's the ground? Where's the crowd? What's the wind doing? What are the obstacles? All the other things that are going to help keep me safe and alive. And the figures themselves it's just like walking at this point. You don't think about it, you just do it.
Okay. All right, great. What, actually, let's hit one that has just come in from a member. So, what is the most awe-inspiring sight you have seen from the cockpit?
Yeah. I had the fortunate opportunity in 2019. I think it was 2019. I was going to do a photo shoot with the Blue Angels, and we were going to do it out of Pensacola. We briefed the photo shoot and everything we're going to do in the video, and the boss asked me, is there any... No, I'm sorry. I actually asked the boss afterwards. The boss is number one on the team, the commander. I said, is there any other shots you're interested in getting? And he goes, well, if we make space, do you want to fly in the slot, the diamond? And as a joke, I said, upright or inverted? And he kind of thought about it. He goes, inverted. I'm like, sure. So when we went out there, we had the diamond, and I'm flying inverted right over the top of them, looking down at all these blue jets and smoke, and like, I can't believe I'm here.
Okay, so you were over the top of them.
Yeah, there's the video of it online.
Yeah.
But that was one of the most amazing sights I've ever seen, because I never in my wildest dreams, being a kid in an air show watching the Blue Angels, would I think, okay, I'm going to be up there someday in formation with them, upside down, on top of them, looking down on them, like 20 feet away.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it was pretty wild.
Now, have you ever flown with Feed on our team?
Yeah, we've done formation photo shoots before.
Okay. So he was in a Blue Angel jet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've only flown in the jets with them once. They gave me a ride back in 2010. I flew with Walleye back at the time. He's actually the gentleman who did a lot of flying for the latest Top Gun movie.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Actually, we were just at Pensacola, and we had dinner with him and Feed, and we were up there, and he was up there doing some more training or something, or I think they called him back for something.
Yeah.
But
Great guy.
all right, so let's go to next. Actually, let's do one of the ones that came in from the members live here. I don't think we answered this, but what's your favorite plane to fly? I know we talked about history, but
I mean, I love my airplane. The MXS is just amazing, and probably right up there with it is just a bone stock J3 Cub.
J3, yep, can't go wrong with that, right?
Nope.
All right, so next one, what do you find more rewarding, winning a competition or performing in an air show, and why?
Competition is just a way for me, personally, for me to just measure myself and where I'm at. I'm kind of on this quest to see how good I can get, not compared to anybody else, just compared to me. Like, where's the tip of the mountain before I start going back down the other side? And competition is a way for me to literally have judges tell me how I'm doing and where I'm at. So I really enjoy that aspect of it, always trying to be better today than I was yesterday. Air shows are a lot of fun. I like that I can inspire people. I mean, I was once that kid on the other side of the fence watching the air show that was inspired, and to hopefully do that to some other kids that are watching me fly. I mean, what's cooler than that?
So it's different levels of rewarding, without a doubt.
Yeah, different levels of reward.
And I know I've heard people ask you before, and we should talk about it, because I think some people think, oh, you fly air shows to prepare yourself for competition, or you fly competition that makes you better in air shows, and it's not that way, is it?
It's two different things. There's things from each that will help the other one a little bit, like air shows. Air shows will help competition just with situational awareness, where exactly you're on the box, what are the weather conditions, where's the wind coming from, all that stuff from a presentation standpoint. Air shows helps a little bit. As far as being precise and perfect, air shows don't help that at all. It usually does the opposite. Competition, like, you can be a really good competition pilot, but that doesn't make you a good air show pilot, because it's a different type of flying. There's the ground right there. Right?
It's almost like an entertainer versus a songwriter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But competition can help your skills with air shows, being more precise, having discipline, really understanding what's happening with the airplane. So they do help each other, but you don't use one to practice for the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You said something interesting about the winds and all the stuff you got going on in the air shows and stuff. What's the envelope for you guys? Like, if you get, or you specifically, and I know like the Blues and the Thunderbirds and stuff, they have their own, but for you, where does it kind of like, up, that's it, I don't fly today?
Depends upon the day, which direction the winds are actually coming from. I mean, so like weather conditions, I can fly down to 1,000 foot and 3 miles visibility. I really have to tailor down my show. Because you can't go into the clouds. So there's not much I can do, but I can fly in those conditions. Wind, if it's a strong headwind component, that's one thing. If it's a strong crosswind component, that's another thing, because you still have to be able to take off and land the airplane. Even worse, you got to be able to taxi the airplane in some of that wind also. My plane is only differential braking. I don't have a steerable tail wheel. It's just free castering. So really strong crosswind taxiing sometimes is way harder than the takeoff or landing.
Okay.
So it depends upon the day and the conditions, how gusty it is, the density, altitude. There's a lot that goes into it.
Okay. So do you just, I mean, I know you have your routine. I mean, I know a lot of your routine, but if it's okay, now it's 1,000-foot ceiling, do you just go and out and say, oh, I'm just going to do some rolls and some loops, or do you just...
I have a specific low show.
All right, Rob, so next question, and I mean, I could see why somebody asked this question. I mean, because you're at the pinnacle of this world, I should say, of aerobatics and stuff, but how do you stay motivated and continue to push the boundaries in your field after so many years of success?
One of the reasons I do this is I just want to see how far with it I can go. One, I just love it. I mean, I have a passion for it. I have a lot of fun doing it, but I love the discipline of it, and I love seeing how good I can get. What other things can I come up with? Like, again, where's the peak of that mountain before I start going down the other side? And I just got this little saying, I just want to be better today than I was yesterday, and I want to be better tomorrow than I am today. I just want to keep that progress going.
But what more can you do? I mean, there's only so much these airplanes can do, although you've taken them beyond what normal
That's
people.
what people have always said, right? And so when I first got into this, I looked at aerobatics. There's like a plateau where everyone is doing the same thing and copying each other. And then there'll be someone that comes along that does something new, and it kind of elevates the sport. And then everyone starts copying that, and it's a plateau. And it just keeps doing that. And it seems like every time we're on this plateau, people are saying the same thing. Well, everything that can be done is being done. You know, there's no new things that can be done. And then someone figures it out. So I don't want to do what other people do. I just want to keep elevating the sport and keep expanding it and coming up with new things. And that's my motivation, is just keep it going.
So what do you think? So you're at dinner, you're sitting around watching TV, like, is there something saying, I wish I could do this, or I wonder if I could do this? So what would be something like that? Like in the past week, what's come up in your head that you thought?
Things come up all the time, but you latch onto something, and that's what you'll be thinking about for a long time. And you try to figure that one thing out. And maybe that will inspire other things, but it's usually that one thing until you have it, then you start thinking about something else. I don't know if that makes sense.
So what's the thought process? So if you thought, I wonder if I could do this, then what's the next step? You think about, well, what would those inputs be, or what would I do to...
So you think about the aerodynamics, you think about the gyroscopics, you think about the physical structure of the airplane, and like, is it strong enough? All the different things that could make it happen. And you also think about what could go wrong. You know, if I do this and it doesn't happen, what might happen? Will I end up in an inverted spin? Will I end up in a tumble? Well, what's going to happen? And what's the recovery from that? You think about all these things ahead of time before you actually go up in the air and try it and see if it'll work, and then work out the details.
Okay, so what's one of the last thoughts you've had that you want to go try to do now?
I can't tell that.
It's a secret?
I can't give away my secrets.
Secrets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Once I figure it out, then other people can try to figure it out.
Okay, great. And then, you know, you just said something important, like in this plane, what would be the thing that you couldn't recover from? Is it a flat spin?
I don't think there's anything you couldn't recover from. No, I mean, all the spins and everything I've ever done with the airplane to recover is absolutely just fine. You know, the biggest thing you have to worry about is the ground, which is why you try these things really high and give yourself that big buffer, and why when you actually do put it in an air show, you're not doing it 500 feet off the ground, you're doing 1,000 feet off the ground, or whatever's required, so if something goes wrong, you have a way to recover out of it. And you always build in that buffer.
So obviously you got certain maneuvers in your show that you're always doing up on the top of your upswing, or because if you do have that issue like a double hammerhead, then you still got plenty of room to...
Even just small things, like the way I end my show, I do this flat spin down, I stop, I come in and land, I touch, I pull up, I roll, and then I land again. People don't know, if they're going to critique one thing, it's that roll. Like, what happens if the engine quits, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is worked out. Like, when I touch, the minimum speed I can do it and be safe is 90 miles an hour. On average, I'm touching down like 120. So I have that buffer. And by the time I add throttle, pull up, get the vector going away from the ground, and start the roll, I'm already pulling the throttle to idle, because I'll be going too fast if I keep it going, finish the roll and land.
Power management.
So if at any point I start the roll, the engine quits, it doesn't really matter, because it's already idle anyways. I just finish it and I land. So all this stuff is worked out ahead of time.
Yeah, so people don't realize, like, you're literally working on every one of those things and what could happen, or how to recover, and it's not just go up and fly the show.
No, making it look wild and crazy and all that, that's the showmanship side of it. And the reality is that there's margins built into everything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then tell us about a time where your maneuver didn't go as planned and how did you handle it?
I mean, it happens every now and then, but that's part of the planning process. And it's everything we just talked about. You have these margins built in. And if it doesn't quite go as planned, you just recover, you have your margins. You know, if you can blend and keep going, you have your energy to do the next figure, you go, and if you don't, you stop, or you reset yourself up, start again. It doesn't happen that often, simply because it is practiced so much. You know, I don't figure something out and stick it in an air show the next day. You know, it takes a while to get there, but you just
So
kind of
you're
execute
saying
the
I
plan.
should be asking people that make more mistakes than you with these questions?
No, I make plenty of mistakes, but I do the preparation that if a mistake happens, I'm prepared to. It's not an emergency.
Yeah. Well, you know, and that's our world. That's why we go to flight safety, to do
Absolutely.
reoccurring. That's why we get our initials
Yep.
and our type ratings and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
That's more important than flying the airplane.
And to me, that's half the fun, is figuring all that stuff out. You
Yeah.
know, practicing mistakes and what could go wrong. And that's fun stuff.
Yeah.
And you'll learn a lot doing that.
What's the most significant lesson you've learned from your years of flying that you'd like to pass on to aspiring pilots?
It's the journey. That's the biggest thing I've learned, is the journey. Like, I don't know what the destination is, and I almost don't want to get there because I'm enjoying the journey so much. Like I said, from when I flew to my first air show was 10 years. And back then, if you asked, I would have liked to do it in 3 years. But now reflecting on it, I'm glad it took 10 years because I learned so much along the way and had so many different experiences. And these past 20 some odd years of doing air shows, so many different experiences, and I've learned so much. And that just keeps going. It's really about the journey. You know, just have fun with it, accept it. It's going to take however long it takes to get there, but it'll be well worth it.
Yeah. And, you know, I think a lot of people appreciate what you do for the sport and for aviation, of course. I mean, what you do when it comes to inspiring kids and the next generation of pilots, I mean, that's so important. But I don't think a lot of people know about how much you really care about veterans and wanting to do stuff for veterans and stuff. And that's part of what we want to do here at E3. I know we do a lot for kids.
Yep.
It's a little easier for us with kids because we have a lot of organizations that bring the kids here and we can do stuff with them, but there's not enough that's going on for veterans and stuff. So can you talk about like your goals and visions for veterans?
Like you said, we obviously want to inspire kids to get involved in aviation, those that want to, and that's worthwhile to do. But there are a lot of really good organizations already doing that. Young Eagles is just one that comes to mind. But there's not a lot of veterans out there. And you have a lot of young veterans coming out of the military trying to figure out what their next step is in life and they want to do as a civilian. To get them inspired by aviation and get them involved. I can't tell you how many young veterans I've given rides to. And the first thought is, when they land, is like, how do I do this? How do I get involved? How do I be a part of this? So I would just recommend to anybody, if you have the ability to take a veteran flying, please do it. Get them inspired, try to get them involved. One, we need more people in aviation. There's a shortage. Even mechanics. I mean, we need mechanics. We need all sorts of areas in aviation filled. There's this giant pool of veterans, young veterans, that could get involved. They just need a little bit of inspiration, and they need knowledge of how to actually get involved.
Yeah, well, that's the key. Some just don't even know where to start.
Exactly.
So I do want to say to you guys out there, so if you're a veteran and you want to get more involved in aviation, please go to E3 Aviation Association because we have programs that you can get involved in. If you know somebody that's a veteran that wants to get more involved in aviation, whatever it is, being a mechanic, flying, pilot, you know, line crews, whatever it is that you think they may, please get them in touch with us. And we want to do everything we can to help more of our veterans and stuff. It's important for us. So let's talk a little bit about technology. Okay. Like, what role does technology play in modern aerobatics and how has it influenced your flying? I know one we talked about in the walk around today that's pretty cool. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that, but I want to hear what you have to say just in general about.
A lot of it's just technology that's gone into the airplanes. Like the airplanes of 30 years ago, you couldn't do what you do with airplanes today because they just didn't have the strength. You'd literally break the airplane. And now, like, I'm flying an airplane that's all carbon fiber. It's rated plus minus 16 Gs. It's incredibly strong. Big engine, lots of power to weight. The plane is light. It's only 1,200 pounds empty.
With a 360 horsepower engine.
Exactly. And a ginormous prop. Just the technology that's gone into the aircraft, it's just like anything else, like race cars and whatnot. You know, the technology keeps increasing, and that increases what you can actually do with them.
Yeah, and I know even like if people are into like F1 and all that kind of stuff, you just look at how they're tweaking. They got these charts and trend monitoring, and they're tweaking this and that, and especially nowadays with some of the software that we can actually review our performances and where do we go wrong and stuff. There's just some really cool technology out there now, like the one you have on top of your dash. Like, let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so it's a little box. It's called AquaWorks. You can go to aquaworks.com and check it out. Designed by a gentleman named Paulo Iscold. Really, really great guy. But it's basically a telemetry box, and it's really cool. You do a flight, and it records everything the airplane's doing. Put the SD card in your computer, jump on the website, and upload it, and you get a model of your airplane, and you can watch your whole flight. And it gives you all the numbers and speeds and Gs and roll rates, and it's incredibly accurate. You see every twitch, every hiccup, everything. So I use it a little bit with air shows, but I use it mostly for competition flying, so I can critique myself and see what I'm doing. Am I hitting the vertical, or is the roll in the middle of the line? Whatever I need to do, I can see it with that. It's a really, really incredible
So it's
tool.
like having a judge there watching you all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. The most memorable flight you have had. That's going to be hard for somebody that flies almost every day.
Yeah, I mean, I got like 15,000 hours, so that's a tough one to answer. Too many. Flying air shows, flying different locations, flying over the Rockies, flying in the Caribbean, doing a loop inside of a volcano down in El Salvador. I mean, there's so many. I've been blessed that I've had a lot of really cool opportunities. So I don't think I can.
Okay, so
nail
that
it
might
down
be a
to just
tough one.
Yeah.
All right, so hopefully this is not a tough one. So who are your aviation heroes?
Lots. I mean, lots of people from the past, like Bob Hoover and Jimmy Doolittle, Art Scholl, Leo Loudenslager, one of the most amazing aerobatic pilots ever. Mike Goulian, Sean Tucker. There's so many. I watch aerobatic pilots, and I'm inspired by lots of them. Bobby Yunkin, Matt Yunkin. And like I said earlier, one of the coolest parts is all these people that were like heroes. Is like a bunch of them are my friends now. And I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you talk about Bob Hoover, because I remember I was early 20s. I worked for my parents' company, and we sponsored an air show at Worcester, up in our neck of the woods in Massachusetts, and we hired Bob Hoover to come. And after that, I saw him. It took me many years after that to know that I wanted to fly aerobatics, and I didn't do it for 20 years later, maybe more. I shouldn't have waited that long. But Bob Hoover was one that I watched. I'm like, I want to do that stuff. You know, he was certainly
amazing.
an inspiration.
Amazing and a gentleman.
No doubt. He's done some stuff that was incredible. We talked a little bit about this. This is another question that came in from a member, that advice for getting into aerobatics. I mean, I think we talked about our journey, but maybe just some resources. We talked about IAC. What would be like some of the first one or two steps that somebody could do like this week? Like if they're really want to get into aerobatics, what could they do this week to go start?
Find a flight school that teaches aerobatics, and there's plenty of them throughout the country. Or find a local instructor who has an aerobatic airplane. Or even find someone who has an aerobatic airplane that, they're a competent aerobatic pilot, to just get a ride in so you can experience it and see what it's like. Just take those first steps. Hang out at the airport and find that person who's got the airplane. It's just, if there's a will, there's a way. You just got to get out there and find somebody.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to just be calling a flight school. I mean, that's probably the easiest thing to do, but there might be people on social media that you saw. Reach out to them.
Absolutely.
There's guys like us that we have these airplanes. We want to help others. We love the sport. We love what we do. Just find a way to get a hold of us. I mean, I have a student coming in about a week that really wants to fly these planes, and just flat out ask me, hey, would you please take me up? I have line guys here that I take up because they want to be flying some of this stuff, and they'll come fuel the plane and say, please, can you? Yeah, of course we will, because we want to do that. We want to help, help the industry and stuff. So
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to ask. Don't think you just have to get to a flight school and go pay. Do their introductory flights. You can ask, like you said, go to the airport, find it. So that's one thing that people could do. If you could change one thing about the sport of aerobatics, what would it be?
Make it more affordable. Yeah, unfortunately it's not cheap, and it's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, if I could change one thing, I'd make it more affordable.
More affordable in what way? Like the aircraft?
In every way.
Yeah.
Like price of
aviation
construction,
is
price of the
expensive.
aircraft, price of fuel, price of insurance, price of all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you could have dinner with somebody dead or alive, who would it be, and why?
Howard Hughes, just to be able to pick his brain because he was a genius.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
Star Wars.
I knew you were going to say that. You already spilled the beans early.
Star Wars and Princess Bride.
It's my wife's favorite.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Favorite band?
Van Halen.
All right, so your favorite band's Van Halen, but obviously, so your favorite instrument? Obviously, guitar. Do you play anything else?
No.
No?
I mean, I like listening to a lot of other instruments. Got a lot of respect for them. Actually, I think violin is really cool. I can't play it, but I think it's very cool.
So, what kind of music you like? Is it just like rock, Van Halen?
I like all kinds. I like rock. I like classical. I like blues. Just depends upon what's on the radio. I'm mostly like a rock and roll kind of guy, but I respect a lot of other kinds of music.
What about Boston? How do you not like Boston?
Boston's a great band, yeah.
Classic,
Boston,
huh?
yeah.
Awesome. It's one of my favorite too.
Yeah.
You write it all? You write music?
Some, a little bit. I don't get to play as much. I mean, all my guitars are at home, and I'm never home, so it's tough to.
So obviously you can't travel with one.
No, you can't fit in like in the airplane.
Tough.
Yeah.
If you were to write a memoir, what would be the title?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't think I'm far enough along into this to be thinking about that, but it'd probably just be better today than yesterday, because that's just my motivation for going forward.
That's pretty good. You know, what's the Marines? The only easy day is yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's good. All right, awesome. So this was great. I appreciate it, Rob.
Yeah.
Hopefully, members at home, you guys got a lot out of this. Make sure you like and subscribe, because I think we're putting this one out. This isn't our normal members live stream, but we're going to put this one out on YouTube because we got special guests. But make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more of these. But if you want to get more of Rob, you got to come into E3 Aviation. And thanks for being here.
Yeah,
and I know we got a lot of stuff going on next couple of days, and a lot of stuff for our members. But we'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.